Welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host, Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Charles Owen of Ev2 Ventures. Charles, welcome on the show.
Thank you, Nitin. It's good to be here.
Our pleasure. So tell us who's Charles.
So I'm Charles Owen, partner at Ev2 Ventures, which is an early stage venture fund based in New Delhi, India, focused on investing in smart mobility, which is anything that moves people or things or the technology around it. So currently I'm not in New Delhi because of the COVID issue, but otherwise New Delhi is home for me and my family.
Not something I hear too often, but tell us why India.
So I think India has, well, one, I'm married to a woman of Indian origin, so the culture is something that I'm familiar with and enjoy and wanted my children to experience. I really wanted them to have the ability to be in a different country and also be in a country that's close to them culturally. But India as a whole is a fascinating secular growth story. I mean, the population of 1.3 billion, 400 million people under the age of 25, 600 million people under the age of 35. Just the dynamics are fascinating, and it's this wild place that has problems that nowhere else has, but also has beauty that and the confluence of cultures and ages and density of population and energy that's you can only get when you have that many people in a confined space. So it's great.
I can see the love and passion, and I know, having spoken to you a few times, you should get your honorary Indian citizenship pretty soon. So
I'm working on it.
And we'll talk business in a sec, but race as of now is, and rightly so, a topic of the times. Tell us about your experience living in India as the minority.
India is interesting because I go and oftentimes I'll be at a conference of 400 or 500 people and I'm the only Westerner. I'm the only non-Indian. Yeah. And the reality is it benefits me there as well. I mean, for one, it's everyone remembers me because I'm the only person there who's not Indian. So I stick out. And also, I'm probably the only person there without hair. So I stick out, more because I'm the only bald guy and the only Westerner. I think a lot of people in India are honestly curious about why I've chosen to be there and invest in companies and take the, and enjoy the culture, enjoy the people. I'm there starting my own business to invest in Indian companies. And I think that creates a level of interest and curiosity because it's something, people from India immigrate to the US or immigrate to the UK to start businesses. And here I'm going from the US to India to start my own business and invest in them.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little more about, you mentioned smart mobility, and that's the focus for EV2.
3 investments. Mm-hmm. One in an EV manufacturer in Delhi, they build 3-wheelers for the logistics supply chain industry. We invested in them when they had 3 vehicles on the road. They now have 180 vehicles on the road and orders for over 1,000 more. They just closed on a Series A round of 20 crore, and there's another 20 crore that's committed for when they get approval for their larger vehicle from ARA. And the play is purely financial. It's not an electric vehicle play. They go to customers and say, hey, for one price, I'll give you a driver, vehicle, maintenance, and charging. And the other 2 companies are in logistics technology, supply chain. One helping, focusing on really heavy industry, so oil and gas. HPCL, which is one of the big oil and gas players, is their first client. Their product is on over almost 6,000 vehicles there, helping 46 plants really understand where their tanks are when they're coming off the line. These are LPG tanks. And where their trucks are, and how do I make sure that trucks and tanks are in the right place at the right time. And the last company we have is, last mile logistics for large parcels. So Flipkart, Amazon, Big Basket, anything that's delivering something that doesn't go in a 2-wheeler.
And there is this huge trend of electric scooters and bikes that are, at least in LA and the bigger hubs in the US. Given that, this I would think, is the ideal market for that, right? The 3 miles or 4 miles of one-way commute. What is your perception of how this is going to pan out in India in terms of milestones and timelines and, the challenges and the opportunities?
Sure. So like the birds and limes
Yeah.
of the world.
Hmm.
So a couple of things. One, standing scooters that you stand on. Um, I just don't think they'll work in India because the infrastructure differences. You know, in most of the cities, you don't have sidewalks.
Right.
If you do have sidewalks, they're very densely populated, so you need to be
Hmm.
in the street. The streets, you know, have potholes like everywhere else, but the
Hmm.
potholes are, you know, I think more frequent in India than they are in other places.
Right.
Um, and the other thing I would say is the birds and limes are already, you know, some people will complain about them taking over corners or sitting outside of certain stores.
Yeah.
There's not that depth of real estate in India to kind of just park things in those places. The question that we have longer term for India is it a safe investment if the person who's using the asset is not the owner of that asset?
Right.
And I think this is a question that exists everywhere, you know,
Hmm.
not just in India, because you just don't tend to care for things as
Yeah.
carefully if it's not yours, if you're just kind of borrowing it.
Hmm. When you are in India, what does your day look like?
So one, I was trying to create a rhythm so that I could plan around things.
Yeah.
So I would travel Tuesday to Thursday. So I was trying to be home with, you know, around my family Monday,
Hmm.
Monday and Friday, just for the weekends. But you know, I'm a father. So my children, the bus leaves at 7:15. They leave the house for the bus. So I'm up at 5:45 so I can get them ready before school. So it's an early day. Um, then, you know, most days I will have a handful of meetings with startups and or investors. And then I've got the continuing companies that I have that we've invested in.
Hmm.
So we created a rhythm where Monday and Tuesday would be startups that we would meet with. So Wednesday and Thursday is, you know, meeting with investors. And Friday is then our days to work with, you know, the companies that we've invested in, board meetings. Now, of course, you have conferences and other things, and this is great on paper, and you know, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I'd say, you know, in a given week we meet 8 to 10 companies all in this space. Amazing things that are happening. So you get to see all of the energy and excitement of entrepreneurs, and then you know, have to do the back office of working with you know, finding investors so you can go help the entrepreneurs, and then managing the companies that you invested in.
What was your feeling the first time around? I'm guessing you're the first in your side of the family to have ventured out like this. Were you somewhat scared, just excited? What were the feelings as you were thinking through this process of making the move?
You know, I'm leaving a Fortune 500 business and starting
Mhm.
my own business, which is scary in and of itself. And then you're deciding to do it in a different country. You know, obviously I have connections there because my wife, though she was born in Ohio, we still have a family there. But I think moving is challenging. Moving to another country is very jarring, right? So one, it takes your body. I mean, as you know, as you've been there, it takes a whole week or 2 weeks to get used to the new time frame. So it's not just like moving; it's like you wake up at night, you know, sleep during the day for the first little bit. But I'd say the pace and the density of crowds and the energy of India was shocking for the first couple of weeks. I'd been there for work. I'd been there to visit family, but it's
Mhm.
very different to set up a house than it is to, you know, stay in your Mosie's basement and have her bring you chai and biscuits, as you don't have to really do anything. So, you know, it's uh, but it was great. I'd say the first couple of months were just a challenge getting used to everything, and then it's been really positive. The kids, you know, and our kids have flourished. You know, my daughter said to me, she's like, I don't want to go back to the U.S. She's like, everyone looks the same. I've got friends from Korea and India and Singapore and Denmark and Africa, and you know, it's like, oh wow, that's, you know, it's really interesting. So